For tonight's first chapter, it's time to wax poetic with Hamburger Hamlet by Wattpad star Michael Estrin.
My love is like a flower, I'm trying to get you over. You like love sour, then you should come try my poison.
Hey there, I'm Rodney V. Smith. The V is for vigilante because somebody has to take the law into their own hands. I'm a Wattpad author and star, and also a winner of a Wattie Award in 2018 for my book, The Cane Food Killer, which is available on Wattpad, so make sure to check it out. Also, look for my comedic vampire series, How Not to Vampire. If you didn't know by now, I'm an author, which means that lots of my friends are also authors. Since I like to talk about what my friends are doing, I've decided one of the best ways to do that would be to read their first chapter of their books on video. That's why we're all here, and it's a win for everyone. Like most books, you can get a lot from a synopsis, but with the first chapter, it tells you if you like a book, and more importantly, if you like the author. This is in no way a review, just me sharing the book and presenting everything as written. You get to be the judge of how cool the stories are. The work always speaks for itself. One warning, this is usually my first or second time reading, so you get to hear all of my mistakes, since it is out loud. Every single one of my mistakes. Fun. As always, the links are in the description. Okay, are you ready? Let's check it out. Noah Abelman should have read Hamlet, because if he'd done the homework, Noah might have been better prepared to understand his father's death and the drama that comes next. The family business, a famous Hollywood hamburger stand that's fallen on hard times, is up for grabs. Noah's mother, a washed-up soap opera actress, is making Lois' life miserable and cozying up to Noah's uncle for financial support. WTF, Mom? Meanwhile, the ghost of Noah's dad keeps showing up at the weirdest times, causing Noah to question his sanity. It's a lot to put on a 17-year-old's plate, but if Noah can overcome his grief, silence the doubts in his head, and pass his senior year of high school, his destiny as hamburger royalty awaits. Let's get into chapter 1. In English, Shakespeare. To be or not to be? That is a question I do not know the answer to. The reason is simple. I didn't do my homework, as usual. I meant to do the reading, but I got distracted. First by social media, then I fell into a Wikipedia hole. After that, I made a late night snack, a hamburger filled with grilled onions, heirloom tomatoes, and aged cheddar cheese on toasted sourdough bread. Don't ask how, but the snack led to a video game session over Twitch with my two best friends, River and Gustavo. Neither of them did the reading either, but River did find a YouTube video of a stand-up comedian doing a 5-minute summary of Hamlet. I watched the video on my way to school this morning, so I'm good, right? Okay guys, what do we think about the ghost? Jesse asked. We can assume that Shakespeare wants the audience to believe that the ghost is real, or as real as ghosts get, assuming you believe in ghosts, which I totally do. Anyway, I want to hear your thoughts. The ghost. Go. I look around the room at my classmates. Nobody volunteers to start the discussion. There are 15 of us sitting in a semicircle. Our teacher, Jesse, stands in the center of the semicircle, a tattered copy of Hamlet in his hand. Jesse is tall and lean with a permanent surface tan and a shock of chestnut-colored hair that reminds me of a shampoo ad. He's my favorite teacher, even though I could care less about English literature or high school for that matter. What I like about Jesse is his attitude. He's passionate about his subject, and yet somehow he makes it seem as though he's fresh out of fucks. Some of my classmates attribute our teacher's attitude to his age. Jesse is only a few years out of college, and therefore closer to us chronologically than he is to most of his colleagues at the Frost School. But I disagree with the conventional wisdom. Jesse, despite his occupation, is just flat out cool. Noah, Jesse says in a gloomy voice. Any thoughts about the ghost? My first thought is that the YouTube video River found wasn't the comprehensive summary we hoped it would be. The comedian didn't mention the ghost at all, which seems like a huge oversight because it's a damn ghost, and that's usually the kind of detail people remember to mention. Then again, the video only had 600 views, so there's that. Do you think Shakespeare is trying to tell us something about madness, or is a ghost just a plot device? Jesse prompts. I reach for my copy of Hamlet. I'm stalling because I know damn well that Shakespeare didn't put the answer to Jesse's question in the play. Honestly, I'm not sure what Shakespeare put in the play because he wrote it in this weird old-timey English that's basically impossible to understand. Seriously, nobody talks like that, right? The thing about the ghost, I think, is, well, I flip open my book, suddenly conscious of the fact that my copy of Hamlet is in the same mint condition it was when I bought the book at the beginning of the school year. The same can't be said for the copies owned by my classmates. Their books look like they've been used. Even River and Gustavo have stuck yellow post-it notes between the pages to mark important scenes. Jesse showed us how to make notes like this in our books in order to organize our thoughts and teach us critical thinking skills. Whatever that means. But I didn't bother to fake it like River and Gustavo did. Now I'm wondering if that's the reason Jesse called on me. Okay, I've got to confess something, I say. I have a thing about ghosts. They scare the bejesus out of me, if you want to know the truth. A few students snicker, but Jesse cocks his head, and the room goes silent. So yeah, I continue. I was reading last night. It was really late, when I got started, and well, I guess I sort of got spooked when I read about the ghost. I mean, WTF? How about a warning of something, Shakespeare? Am I right? I thought this was a play about royal people doing royal things, plus long speeches about the meaning of, life and stuff, and maybe a sword fight or two, which would have been cool. But there's this ghost. A ghost! It freaked me out. So, sorry, but I saw the ghost, and I had to stop reading. A few people laugh, but this time Jesse lets the laughter die a natural death. The ghost appears in the first scene, Liz Cato says. He's just making excuses again for why he didn't do the reading. Honestly, Noah, if you put half as much effort into your homework as you put into making excuses for why you didn't do your homework, you'd have something to contribute. Jesse frowns. I don't know why Liz feels the need to blow my cover. It's not like my failings as a student hurt her. If anything, I'm here to make smart kids like Liz look even smarter so they can head off to the Ivy League. I can't wait to get out of this place, I tell myself. Is that true, Noah? Jesse asks. Is it me, or do teachers have a thing about asking questions they already know the answers to? Is the ghost real? You tell me, Teach. Was Shakespeare trying to tell us? No clue, but since you assigned the book, I assume you have the answer to that one too. Assume you have the answer to that one, Jesse. Did I do the reading? Isn't it obvious that I didn't do the reading? I tried to do the reading, I say, but it's not even in English, and this is supposed to be English literature. So, also, this isn't a book, it's a play, so there's that. You're right, Jesse says. I am? I say in a surprised tone. Yes, you are. It is a play, and the language is a beast. Jesse extends his hand, motions for me to give him my copy. I hand it over. He flips open the book. Let's put on a play now. Let's put on a play. Noah, you want to be the ghost or Hamlet? He's afraid of ghosts, Liz says. Jesse looks at me, raises an eyebrow. What she said. I'm afraid of ghosts. I also have performance anxiety. Remember last year, Civics Week? I was supposed to give a presentation on democracy, but I got stage fright, barfed, and then there was literal anarchy in the auditorium. Bad scene, Jesse. Bad scene. He puked because he ate too many hamburgers, as usual. Not because he was nervous, Damon Plitt says. Wash that gut, big boy. Gustavo and River both cough at the same time, but their coughs are a ruse. Underneath their phony coughs, Gustavo calls Damon a dick, while River opts for asshole. I suppose both insults fit. Damon Plitz is so unlikable, at least as far as we're concerned, that neither dick nor asshole are enough to capture what a colossal shithead he truly is. In fact, I'm pretty sure Damon lives to bully kids like me. If he's not teasing me about my weight, he's making fun of my dyslexia. I usually try to avoid Damon, but for some twisted reason, we have the same schedule this year. Did I mention that I can't wait to get out of this place? Rude, Liz says. Damon needs to apologize to Noah. Then Gustavo and River need to apologize to Damon. Then Noah should apologize to everyone for wasting valuable class time. Sometimes I swear Liz Cato sounds more like a teacher than the real teachers. We get it, Liz. You actually like school. Congratulations. But the rest of us are just trying to get through this awkward stage in our lives, okay? Liz is right, Jesse says. You guys can mess around on your own time. Noah, since you're afraid of ghosts, you play Hamlet. Damon, since you have this need to be disruptive, you play the ghost. Okay, let's do this, people. Act 1, Scene 5. Actors, take your places. I glance at Damon. He looks angry, which is typical. I don't know why, but some jocks are always mad. Or at least they always seem to be mad at me. I used to think it had something to do with the fact that I can't play sports to save my life. But now I think those jocks are born to be jerks. Either way, I have a bad feeling about my scene partner. Jesse hands me back my book, open to the correct page. Shouldn't we explain the context? Liz asks. Because evidently not everyone did the assignment. Let me explain, Jesse says. No, there's too much. Let me sum up. Hamlet's father is dead. Everyone is afraid Norway is going to invade because Hamlet's dad, also Hamlet, to make things confusing, killed King Fortinbras of Norway in battle, and now Prince Fortinbras, also confusing, looks to be on the warpath because revenge. Meanwhile, Hamlet is still grieving, and the new king is his uncle Claudius, who married Hamlet's mom, which is scandalous, at least to Hamlet, who is sad pants about his dad, but heard about his mom, and jelly that Laertes gets to go back to college, while Hamlet is stuck in Elsinore brooding, which is kind of sexy to Ophelia because she likes moody bad boys, even though her brother Laertes warns her not to get too close to Hamlet, because some serious palace intrigue that makes Game of Thrones look like The Simpsons is about to go down. And here comes the ghost. For a moment, there is silence. Then I clear my throat, and I turn my eyes to the page. I recognize the individual words. I recognize the individual words, most of them anyway, when they don't make any sense. For a moment, there is silence. Then I clear my throat and turn my eyes to the page. I recognize the individual words, most of them anyway, but they don't make any sense when I try to put them together in my head. And putting those words together isn't easy. I know the words on the page are stationary, but as my eyes track across the oddly formatted text, they get all jumbled up, like a bunch of leaves blowing in the wind. I can bullshit better than most kids my age, and most adults too, but when I have to stick to a script, something goes haywire between my eyes and my brain. The words that come out of my mouth in these situations always make people laugh, which would be a good thing, except I know that everyone is laughing at me, not with me. You're supposed to start, Damon sneers. I can feel my heart pounding inside my chest. Beads of sweat form on my forehead and in the small of my back. I look over at my friends, Gustavo and River. Seeing their faces calms me a little. I know that no matter what happens, they're on my side. But when I look at my classmates, and my confidence crumble. With the exception of Liz, everyone is either bored or eager to watch me fall on my face. Finally, my eyes return to the page, which is a damn word salad. Whenever you're ready, Jesse says. What if I'm never ready, I wonder? What if this just isn't my thing? What if I'm one of those people who doesn't really read stuff? People like that have trouble in school, but school doesn't last forever, right? So what if I'm not college material? I can always work with my dad at the hamburger stand, I tell myself. But that feels like a long way off. A year as the calendar goes, but a lifetime as far as this moment is concerned. And that lifetime, I fear, is one of dread. Will I be paralyzed by fear forever? Can I ever escape this limbo? Better to get it over with, I decide. Take your medicine, Noah. Where wilt thou lead me? I begin in a halting, uncertain voice. I'll go no further. Mark me, Damon says with all the emotion of a ghost who's been dead for centuries. I squint at the text. My next line is easy. I will. I exhale, then feel my lungs taking more air. I can get through this, I tell myself. I just have to breathe, and hope to hell that Shakespeare wrote the rest of the scene in English. When I to sulphurous and tormenting flames must render up myself, Damon says in staccato voice. What's the ghost saying here? Jesse asks. Beats me, Shakespeare. There was a ghost and something about following the ghost, and now what the heck is going on? He's talking about hell, Liz says. The tormenting flames, the sulfur. That's all imagery which tells us that the ghost soul is either in hell or going there fast. So this is really about whether Hamlet is going to follow in the ghost's footsteps. Nailed it, Jesse says. But remember, the ghost is his dad, or he thinks is his dad. So, on the one hand, it's about fearing hell and eternal damnation, all that jazz. But it might also be about fathers and sons and how none of us wants to be our parents, even if we all end up being our parents anyway. The fear works on multiple levels. Think about that fear as you read the rest of the scene, guys. That's actually pretty easy, at least the hell part. I am literally in hell right now. Okay, not literally. I'm in my 4th period English class, but it feels like hell, so I've got that going for me, I guess. Alas, poor ghost, I say, except the word alas comes out of my mouth sounding like all ass, which makes a few people to snicker. Which causes a few people to snicker, which makes me wonder why Shakespeare wants us to feel sorry for the ghost. What about Hamlet? He's the one who has to look at the ghost. And what about the poor actors? It's bad enough that Shakespeare wrote this mumbo jumbo that nobody understands, but the actors actually have to memorize it. Pity me not, Damon says, but lend thy serious hearing to what shall unfold. I think the ghost might be trying to say, watch what happens next. My first thought is, why didn't the ghost just say that? My second thought is that I'm curious to see what happens next. But my third thought is that our classroom is haunted because someone, possibly a ghost, is knocking at the door. Come in, Jesse says. A moment later, our school headmistress, Veronica Booth, enters the room. She's not a ghost. But as our school headmistress, I find Veronica Booth every bit as terrifying as a ghost. Sorry to interrupt, she says, but I need to speak with Noah Abelman. A slight murmur runs through the room. The Frost School is one of those hip Los Angeles private schools where there's no dress code and students call the teachers by their first names. Instead of a cafeteria, there were food trucks. Instead of numbered classrooms, we met in rooms named after famous thinkers. Our English literature room class meets in a room called Neruda, although I have no idea who Neruda was. But despite the superficial differences, Frost is like any other school, which means a visit from the headmistress is always bad news. Please bring your things, Noah. I guess that's my cue, I say. Hamlet out. A few people laugh, including Jesse. I may not be the smartest kid in the room, but I like to think I'm the funniest. Because if there's one thing I've learned at school, is that humor is the best defense for a fat kid with dyslexia. It works on teachers who think you just need to work harder. It helps you save face with girls who only think of you as a friend. And sometimes, humor even stops bullies, assuming they'd rather laugh along than hit somebody. I slide my copy of Hamlet into my book bag, sling the bag over my shoulder, and make my escape. Aside from failing to do my homework, I know I didn't do anything wrong. So I tell myself that whatever our headmistress wants to talk about, it's got to be better than reading Shakespeare, right? End of chapter 1. So that's it for Hamburger Hamlet by Michael Estrin. If you like what you just read, you can continue reading more of the book on Wattpad by following the link in the description. Also give him a follow on his social media as well. That's all for tonight, so thanks for joining. Don't forget to click the like button down there and subscribe if you want to listen to me read some more first chapters. I try to update at least 5 days a week, sometimes less, but there's always something new, so I'll see you around. Happy reading.
And ever since then, my life